Section 3. Universal Precautions. Introduction to Universal Precautions. Universal precautions are a set of guidelines designed to protect both DSPs and the people they support from contact with infectious agents that could cause disease or illness. It involves treating all human blood and body fluids as if they were infectious. Also include guidelines on hand washing, personal protective equipment, cough etiquette, and surface disinfection.
Hand washing. Hand washing is a major component of universal precautions and is the single most important practice to reduce the transmission of germs. DSP should wash hands with plain or antibacterial soap with clean running water. If soap and water are unavailable, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. Hand washing should be done if hands are visibly dirty, before, during, and after food preparation, before putting on and after taking off gloves, before eating, before and after caring for someone who is sick, before and after treating a cut or a wound, after assisting someone with personal care or hygiene, after using the toilet, after changing diapers or cleaning up a person who has used the bathroom, after coughing, sneezing, or blowing one's nose, after petting, playing with, or touching an animal, after handling pet food or treats, and after touching garbage. Hand washing steps. Wet your hands with clean, running water, either warm or cold, and apply soap. Lather your hands by rubbing them together with soap. Be sure to lather the backs of your hands, between your fingers, and under your nails. Scrub your hands for at least 20 seconds. Rinse your hands well under clean running water, with water running down toward your fingertips. Dry your hands using a clean paper towel, turn off the faucet with the paper towel, and then discard the paper towel.
Personal Protective Equipment, PPE. PPE is a specialized clothing or equipment that protects people against contact with potentially infectious materials. The proper use and disposal of PPE prevents exposure to germs potentially infectious materials. Single-use disposable gloves. Wash hands before putting gloves on and after taking them off. Change gloves before providing care to another person. Dispose of gloves properly to avoid contamination. Never reuse gloves. Other protective equipment. In situations where splattering, smearing, or splashing of blood and body fluids might occur, wear a mask, goggles, or other face shields to protect the eyes, nose, and mouth. Personal eyeglasses are not considered adequate eye protection. Wear gloves and a gown to shield yourself from fluids. Avoid the contaminated area or wear shoes coverings when cleaning contaminated fluids from the floor. In case of an emergency, if mouth-to-mouth resuscitation is required, use resuscitation devices or mouth shields. A barrier can be improvised if protective equipment is not available, such as trash bags, grocery sacks, or other waterproof material. If you need help getting gloves, sharps disposal containers, biohazard bags, or CPR masks/shields, contact your supervisor, a pharmacy, your county board, or speak with the person's family or doctor's office. Exposure prevention. To prevent unexpected exposure, keep broken skin covered with bandages or clothing. This includes cuts, scrapes, hangnails, patches of eczema, and other skin that is not intact or a solid barrier. Always know and follow your agency policy for the use and disposal of PPE.
Sharps. Used needles, lancets, blades, and other sharp devices, known as sharps, can cut or prick the skin, exposing a person to germs or other potentially infectious materials. Never bend, break, or recap needles. Never remove used needles from disposable syringes. Never throw a sharp into the trash. Dispose of used sharps in labeled containers. The container should be labeled with the word sharps on all sides. When a sharps container reaches 3/4 full, close the lid and dispose of it promptly. Never clean up broken glass by hand. When handling sharps, move carefully. Give your full attention to what you are doing. Never use your hand or foot to push down the trash in any trash can or bag. Never place your hand inside or under a trash bag.
Exposure. An exposure incident is an event in which a person's blood or bodily fluid has possibly entered another person's bloodstream through a point of entry. Points of entry include the eyes, nose, mouth, or any skin that is not intact. Responding to an exposure incident includes cleaning the area and reporting the exposure to a doctor and/or agency administrators immediately. Clean the area with running water, wash thoroughly with soap and rinse well. Responding to an injury. Treat all blood and body fluids as if they are infectious. If the injury is life-threatening, emergency first aid should be given. If protective equipment is not available, items such as towels, clothing, or bags can be used to prevent exposure. Once the person is stable, reduce possible contact with blood and body fluids by using techniques to avoid touching bodily fluids directly. Report any possible exposure to a physician immediately. Clean up. Spills of body fluids, feces, nasal and eye discharges, saliva, urine, and vomit should be cleaned immediately. Surfaces that may come in contact with body fluids must be either disposable or material that can be sanitized, such as a stainless steel countertop. Clean any visible fluid from surfaces with soap and water, then rinse. Wet or spray the entire surface with a bleach solution made fresh daily, comprised of a 1:9 solution, for example, a 1/4 cup chlorine bleach to 2 1/4 cups of water. Let stand for 2 minutes. Air dry or wipe dry after 2 minutes. If using pre-made or store-bought disinfectant products, follow the directions on the label. Respiratory hygiene and cough etiquette. Used to describe infection prevention measures to decrease the transmission of illness. The droplets released from an ill person's cough or sneeze can travel for several feet, reaching the nose or mouth of others and causing illness. Viruses can spread easily from person to person through touching or shaking hands. Droplets can also live for a short time on objects, such as bed rails, doorknobs, or wheelchairs. Use a tissue to cover your mouth and nose every single time you cough or sneeze. If a tissue is not available, cough into your inner elbow. Always turn your face away from people around you when coughing or sneezing. Place used tissues immediately in a trash can. Dispose of contaminated material in a plastic bag with a secure tie. To prevent leaks of contaminated fluid, place wet materials in a tied bag inside a second tied bag. Non-sharp, contaminated disposable items, such as used PPE, should be discarded into biohazard bags, if available, that are puncture-resistant, leak-proof, and labeled with a biohazard symbol or red in color.